So the Houston Rockets, they have lost again to the Clippers. Now the game is going on, but it's pretty much a blowout. So I'm recording this before, the game ends basically, but we've already lost. Looking at it right now, I think, yeah, I'm looking at the score. It's 122 to 105, and majority of this video is probably going to be talking about Jalen Green because I realistically wanted to make a video, and with his previous games being absolutely amazing, I mean, why wouldn't I make a video? But I also wanted to throw in just a quick game recap, so we'll get into that pretty quickly. But before we get into it, what's up? My name is Rockets Empire. If you like what you see, drop a like down below, subscribe, and let's just get right into it. So we'll first talk about the box score tonight. Looking at the starting five here, so obviously we got Jalen Green, 25 points, 6 rebounds, and 7 assists with a steal. Had 3 turnovers, but a shot 10 of 19 from the field and 3 of 8 from 3. Jalen, I mean, he's been red hot in the last 10 games. I mean, if we look at his last 10 games, he's been averaging around 21 points per game, around 4 rebounds, and around 3 assists, shooting around 42% from the field and around 35% from 3. Jalen Green, he's definitely been our best player. And, in these last few games, he's really the reason why these games have been close. Now, we'll talk about Alperen Şengün too, who's also been a factor in us being close in some games, but majority of the scoring has been because of Jalen Green. And realistically, like, the offense is going to be running through him most of the time whenever he's on the court. And it happened a lot today where he just got a lot of just easy open threes and just a lot of threes in general. So I think moving forward, it's a good direction that we're going into, that we're running the offense through Jalen Green. But there's some other pieces on the team that we're going to need to talk about. Next, we got KPJ. Had a pretty bad game. 20 points, 7 rebounds, and around 3 assists. Had 3 steals, but had 4 turnovers and shot 6 of 18 from the field. So a really bad shooting night from KPJ. Shot 0-4 from the 3. I don't know what went wrong with KPJ this game. I mean, he looked fairly frustrated. And it definitely showed because I think he took off like his shooting sleeve around like the third or the fourth quarter. And then you can basically just see, he was getting like a lot of, I think he got like a tech. Yeah, I think he got a technical foul one time in the game. I can't remember what quarter it was, but yeah, he was very frustrated with how he's playing. So it was definitely showing, he's going to have some of these nights where he's not going to be great. I mean, 20 points is, great, but on 6 of 18 from the field isn't really too amazing. So Eric Gordon, he had 4 points and 1 rebound. It's Eric Gordon. He's our vets. He's not going to be, scoring much. But at the same time, I mean, 26 minutes, what can you really do about it when, Kenyon Martin Jr. and Tari Eason both had some pretty great games. So Şengün with 16 points, 4 rebounds, and 1 assist. He had some foul trouble. That's why he didn't really have that great of a stat line. Had 5 fouls and shot 6 of 11 from the field and 0-2 from 3. Şengün and Jalen Green this game, their connection on the pick and roll was really good. I mean, Jalen was obviously able to recognize when Şengün was rolling to the rim, and he kind of just like waited a little bit, kind of just was pretty much patient with the ball until Şengün rolled, and he kind of just gave him into the post, and then Şengün would easily score or just use a pump fake and then score. So I like the connection between Jalen Green and Alperen Şengün. I think the chemistry between them is going to develop even further when we use Jalen Green as a primary ball handler. I just think as of right now, I mean, Jalen Green, he's like a basic playmaker at best, maybe above average at his position, but we need a guy that's going to be playmaking at a higher level than Jalen Green. It's going to help boost our offense a lot better. I mean, KPJ having that 3 assists tonight especially isn't really going to help us on the offensive end. So hopefully we can get some sort of playmaker, maybe Scoot Henderson. That would be a pretty great addition to our team in the offseason and through the draft, basically, even like Wemby. But that's another video for another time. So finally in the starting lineup, you got Jabari Smith. I mean, 7 points and 6 rebounds, 1 assist and 3 steals. Obviously played some great defense. Shot 2 of 6 from the field and 2 of 4 from 3. Basically, didn't really do anything except sit in the corner, which has been a trend. I will talk about that in another video. I mean, majority of the offense is going to be running through our main guys, Jalen Green, Şengün, and KPJ. But I would like to see some more runs or some more plays for Jabari because he's really just sitting in the corner and waiting for an open 3. And although he does make it, I mean, I think he could be used better on ball too, depending on where you put him. I mean, in the post, he hasn't been too great in the post, but if you can create that mismatch, have KPJ run the pick and roll, pick and pop with Jabari Smith, I think it would work pretty well, especially with Jabari being able to shoot that 3 ball, the pick and pop would work pretty well. So hopefully Jabari Smith gets some more plays in the near future, I want to say, because, Steven Silas, he's going to be trusting guys like Eric Gordon, Jalen Green, two trusted scorers on our team. I'm just hoping Jabari Smith gets some more plays ran for him soon. So looking at the bench, Kenyon Martin Jr. was really, one of the two guys I wanted to talk about. Actually, one of the three guys. 8 points, 5 rebounds, and around 1 assist. Had 2 great dunks. I think one over Zubac and another one over Terrence Mann, I think. I can't remember the second one, but the first one against Zubac was probably one of the best dunks I've seen this season. Straight up poster, left-handed dunk. It was absolutely amazing. Shot 4 or 7 from the field. Pretty good game. Usman Gruba, 5 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists with 1 steal. Also had 3 blocks, also, contributed a lot to our defense today. So another great game from Usman off the bench. And finally, Jae'sean with 9 points and 3 rebounds with 2 steals. Played some great defense, especially, sometimes when it's guarding Paul George or even, helping out on the weak side and just being a great help defender. I mean, Jae'sean, one of our better defenders off the bench. And this trio of Garuba, KJ Martin, and Jae'sean is probably our best trio off the bench and probably our best bench lineup I've seen because, looking at the other guys, JC only played 10 minutes and Knicks had 15, but it was pretty horrible. Boban didn't really get in until the 4th. Same thing with Garrison Matthews and Tai. So those 3, Garuba, KJ, and Jae'sean, definitely our best bench players, but I would like to see a little bit more from Josh Christopher. I mean, in 10 minutes, had 8 points and 2 assists with the 1 rebound and shot 3-7 from the field, but had 5 turnovers. So he was struggling a lot today. And I think, I don't know, Steven Silas hasn't been running him recently, but I think with this sample size, I pretty much think he could be our backup, point guard. Looking at Jae'sean, he hasn't been too great for us. So putting in Josh Christopher at the backup point guard, we'll see what happens. I think he plays a lot better defense than Jae'sean. But yeah, that's pretty much my take on the game. We'll get to Jalen Green, and we'll talk about why he's been red hot recently. So looking at Jalen Green's overall stats from the season, he's averaging around 22 points per game, around 4 rebounds, and around 3 assists. Jalen Green, he's been improving in a lot of areas recently, especially on defense. I mean, he's probably been one of our best perimeter defenders. That step taken forward to defend at a high level at the perimeter is definitely something eye-opening to me because I don't know, last season he wasn't really that great of a perimeter defender. Around the end of the season, he was getting up there. And, going into this season, he definitely looked a lot better defensively, basically. So I like the step taken to get better defensively. And even things like playmaking, too. He's been definitely getting a lot better at playmaking. We saw it tonight with Şengün with the pick and rolls. Even in the last few games, he's been absolutely amazing with the playmaking. Obviously with KPJ struggling, he's going to be getting the ball a lot more. Looking at his previous games, I mean, against New Orleans had 6 assists, against Toronto 6, against Orlando 3, and then against Minnesota 4. So those are some great, assist games from Jalen Green. I think, that's probably the max we're going to get from him. Maybe even more depending on, if Jalen Green continues to develop his playmaking game. But for the most part, I think he's going to be pretty much one of our best playmakers on the team. So looking at his shooting splits, he's shooting around 43% from the field and around 38% from 3 and 79% from the free throw. Shooting splits could be a little bit better. At the same time, I mean, he's pretty much shooting at a pretty efficient clip. I would say he's been one of our best efficient players on the team. Definitely a lot more efficient than KPJ. I mean, he's shooting around 42% from the field and around 34% from 3. So Jalen Green, he's going to get a lot of open looks. He's going to get more plays ran for him compared to KPJ because, Jalen Green's going to be our number 1 scorer and he's basically our cornerstone of the franchise. So I think moving forward, Jalen Green, the things he's going to be working on is, I think his ball handling has been a lot better recently, and especially overall this season, he's been a lot better as a ball handler. I think the one thing he needs to work on is, shot selections, because sometimes in this game, there were some questionable shots where, we have an inbound play, we'd pass it to KPJ, and then, KPJ would pass it to Jalen Green, and he would take a quick 3 or a quick shot, and that's something we don't really need in the offense. So, shot decisions is really just one thing that I want to point out in his game. Defensively, he could still be a lot better. Obviously, he can improve on a lot of things, but those are just the 2 main things that I really want him to improve on this season. So you guys can let me know what you guys think about the game, about Jalen Green, and I'm out. Peace.